So the second passage is called bird migration. Bird migration. I have like, I think the title is self-explanatory, right? The title is self-explanatory. It's called bird migration. And I have, okay, it's about, we know birds migrate to the south, to hotter places, right? It's about that. How do they do that? How do they do that? The science behind. All right. Now, and then the next thing, because title is self-explanatory, I know I will be like, when I'm reading, well, I know what the text is going to be. The text is about bird migration, right? And if that's clear, you immediately move on to the questions. But if it's not clear, if the title is not helping you, what you need to, guys, you need to read the first line, for example, read the first line so that you know, before you go to the questions, you should be like, I am reading about this. Okay, in your head, you need to be like, today I'm reading about this. You need to genuinely see if you are sure about what the topic is about. All right, let's go. Now, I have matching headings question, then choosing from a list, and summary completion. Then I need to remember what I know about each type of question. This type of question checks if you understand the main idea, the general idea. And the common advice for you to pay attention to the first sentence, right? Because the idea with the first sentence, it has to tell you the main idea. And then this type of question also checks the general idea. So doesn't it suffice? Isn't it enough for me to read the first sentence? No. Usually, yes, usually you can find, there are some clues in the first sentence, but the answer doesn't just come from the first sentence. You need to read the whole thing and then understand it. But with this out of the way, I don't read the headings at the beginning. This is a waste of time for two reasons. Because when it comes to this type of question, don't read the headings because it's a waste of time. It's also going to confuse you. Because most students end up doing, they choose the answer just because one word exists. Usually, what's about any multiple choice questions where they have multiple options, if there is one word that's wrong, it makes the whole answer wrong. That's why they are easier to do. All right. So when it comes to this type of question, don't read the list of headings, then move on to the next type of question. With this type of question, I just look at my time, how much time I have. If I have more time left, if I've completed passage one much faster, I read the options because they could be all over the place. This is choosing from list. This is one of the difficult questions because the answer usually in most of the cases, it comes from one or two paragraphs, usually from a certain location in the text, but there are moments it could be spread around the text. It could be spread. One answer is at the beginning, one answer is at the very end. This could be the case, but most of the time they come from one part of the text. So it says, which of the two following statements are true for bird migration? All right, so they talked about bird migration. Which one is correct? Which one is not correct? So birds fly often further than they need to. Okay, I'm going to read. Birds traveling in family groups are safe. In family groups, if they are traveling in family groups, they are safe. Birds flying at night need less water. All right. Birds have much sharper eyesight than humans. Only shore birds are resistant to strong winds. They are resistant, meaning they're able to withstand, they're able to tolerate. If strong winds hit them, they're able to continue their journey. All right. No more than one word. Let's look at it. Completion questions. It is great mystery that young birds like this bird can find their wintering grounds without something. There is one word that I cannot miss. This is this word, this bird, without wintering grounds, without something. And also another keyword is without. All right, evidence shows that birds can tell directions like as something, observing the sun and the stars. Guys, what's the keyword here? The keyword here, observing the stars and the sun. Next one advantage for birds flying at night is that they can avoid contact. So the keyword here, they avoid contact with something. And laboratory tests show that birds can detect weather without something science. I need adjective here, something science. So now, when do I look at question 21 and 22, guys? When do I look at question 22, 21? 21 and 22. When do I look at question 21 and 22, guys? Guys. No, every time I finish a paragraph. Every time I finish a paragraph, I need to look at them. If they talk about flying further than they need to, if they talk about family groups and safe, if they talk about needing less water, if they talk about eyesight, if they talk about shore birds, again, in each option, I found one word that I cannot miss. Every time I find one of these words, I need to look at. The same is true for matching headings too. There are certain types of questions. If you have them, you need to look at them every time you finish a paragraph. All right, when do I look at question number 24, guys? When do I look at question number 24? Sun and stars. When do I look at question number 23? Okay, so the reason I'm telling you, although it's obvious to some of you, but I always need that. I'm always to make sure that I am doing things. Okay, can you please unmute, guys? Unmute. So only use the chat. Okay, let's go. Birds have many unique design features, all right, that enable them to perform such amazing feats of endurance. What does anyone know what feat mean? Feat. Feats of endurance. Feat. Feat means achievement. Feat. Something remarkable. Something remarkable. Feat means, okay, so they have unique design features. So natural selection, all right, so, okay. They are equipped with lightweight hollow bones. Their bones are hollow, means there are holes in it. And also, okay, somebody is unmuted. All right, guys, please, for the love of God, intricately designed feathers, providing both lift and thrust for rapid flight. Thrust means when you push yourself, so they can rapidly fly. Navigation system superior to anyone that man has ever developed. Their navigation systems are better than anything that we created. Superior means better. And an ingenious heat, ingenious means clever heat conserving design, very clever heat conserving design. And that, among other things, concentrates all blood circulation beneath layers of warm water for a plunge, leaving them to fit face to life in the harshest of climates. So they're able to face the harshest climates because they have these following things. They have navigation system, they have bones, they have conserving design. Their respiratory system, breathing systems are also really perform efficiently during sustained flights. Sustained means long flights, or at altitude means at height. So they have a system of extracting oxygen, like extracting oxygen from their lungs that far exceeds, that far overdue does that of any other animal. Their respiratory systems are so great too. During their later stage of the summer breeding season, when food is plentiful, when there is lots of food, plentiful means when there is lots of food, their bodies can accumulate, means collect considerable layers of fat to provide sufficient energy for long. Even their body can conserve lots of fat. Okay, before we look at the, I'm intentionally not showing you the headings. If you could summarize in one sentence what this paragraph was about. What do you think this paragraph was about? If you could summarize in one go. No. Bird's ability. Anyone else? More options, guys? More options? No, not bird's life. How birds are unique, but we are not the. I think it's mostly about how the features of birds that make them really suitable for this. They have certain features. They are design features, lightweight, ingenious heat conserving. They have respiratory system. How they are really good. All right, let's go. The best moment to migrate, is this the answer? Best moment to migrate? Best moment, did they talk about? No. Okay, I look at all of them. The unexplained reaction of the rejection. So why do they reject? Do I have that? No. The influence of weather, did they talk about weather? They did not talk about weather. Physical characteristics that allow birds to migrate, I like that. I really like that answer. The main reason why birds migrate, do I know the main reason why they migrate? So far, we don't have that. So far, we don't have that. All right. Then the next word, please unmute. The main reason, the best wintering ground, they did not talk about wintering ground. The research findings on how birds migrate, they talked about research findings. Successful migration despite the trouble of wind. They didn't talk about wind troubling them. The contrast between long distance migration, short distance migration, nothing about that. Mysterious migration despite lack of teaching, no, nothing. So I chose, so 4, I am confident, so I can move on to that. Now I need to look at, do they talk about resistance, sharper eyesight, less water? None of them are here, so I can move on to the next paragraph. All right, the fundamental reason, okay, the main reason that birds migrate is to find adequate food during winter. That's why they, okay, when there is short supply of food. This particularly applies to birds that breed in the temperate and Arctic regions. This is particularly true for these birds living in these locations. Whereas food is abundant, where food is abundant during the short growing season. All right. Where food is abundant. Abundant means when plentiful, when there is lots of food. Many species can tolerate cold temperatures if food is plentiful. They can survive if there is lots of food. When food is not available, they must migrate. Okay, why do they migrate? This whole paragraph was about what? This whole paragraph is about why reasons migrate. So the answer is going to be, number 5. All right. So again, I immediately, but I found this one is clear. That's why I'm not looking at the other options. But sometimes when you're not too clear, you need to move on and you need to look at other options too. That's why we're not looking at, like, okay, talk about they need to fly further than they need to. Family groups, nothing about that. Let's continue. If they talk about cuckoos, we're going to talk about that. One puzzling fact. Okay, one puzzling. If something puzzles you, it confuses you. It makes it difficult for you to understand. Many birds journey much further than would be necessary just to find food and good weather. They travel further. If they have to travel from this to this, they travel to here. It's not necessary. Why? Nobody knows, but we don't know why. For instance, why bridge swallows, like I guess swallow, we have swallows too, which could presumably survive equally well if they spend the winter in Africa, but instead they fly several thousands of miles further to their preferred winter in South Africa. They could have actually stopped at Africa, but they're stopping at South Africa Cape. Another mystery, and again, look at the language. They are using puzzling. They're using nobody knows. They're using another mystery. Involve the huge migrations performed by Arctic terns, another type of bird, mud-fleeing shorebirds. Okay, we have shorebirds finally, that breed close to polar regions. In general, the further north migrant species breeds, if they further north, all right, the further south it spends its winter. For Arctic terns, this necessitates annual round trip of this many. They have to travel, yet on routes to their final destination in far-flung southern latitudes, all these individuals overfly other areas to seemingly suitable habitat, 2 hemispheres. While we may not fully understand the bird's reasoning for doing so, we can marvel at. Marvel at means we can enjoy and wonder about it. So I have 2 answers, I believe. I have this part about shorebirds. Shorebirds resistant to strong winds. Is this the answer, guys? E. Is this the answer? Is this the answer? No, so I can remove this. What about A? Birds often fly further than they need to. What about A? Yes, because this line says they often further than would be necessary. So the answer is going to be A. So I'm going to put this. So I'm going to choose this. Now I can move on to the next one. All right. So I don't know how to choose this. Let's choose another color. All right. This is now the best moment to migrate. Was this the answer? Best moment to migrate? No. The unexplained rejection of closer feeding ground. Could be. I like this answer. The influence of weather on the migration. Okay, I'm gonna keep 2 because I like it. But 3, no. The best wintering ground. Did they talk about best wintering grounds? Okay, when you are choosing headings, there is maybe, there is no. There is maybe, there is no. There is no yes. The best wintering grounds, research findings on how birds migrate. Did they talk about research migrants? Successful migration despite the trouble of wind. All right. Did they talk about the influence of weather on the migration route? No, it's not 3. Somebody chose 3. All right. 10. The mysterious migration despite lack of teaching. Did they talk about there are synonyms for mysterious, but is there anything about teaching? Is there anything about teaching, guys? Nothing about teaching. So the answer is going to be unexplained reason. All right. So the answer is going to be 2 because there is nothing about teaching. What kind of unexplained? All right. While we may not fully understand birds' reason, we can marvel at their feats. We can just enjoy. We can just from the fact that they're able to do that. Nobody knows puzzling. All of these are unexplained rejections. So the answer is going to be 2. All right, we're going to continue. One of the greatest mysteries is how young birds know how to find the traditional wintering areas without parental guidance. Okay, so they are able to find their traditional wintering areas where they traditionally winter. Winter means they spend winter in those places without the support of their parents. Very few adults migrate with juveniles. Juveniles means young birds in tow, and youngsters may even have little to no inkling of their parents' appearance. They have no idea what their parents look like. A familiar example is that of a cuckoo, all right? Oh, I don't know how to read that. Which lays eggs in other species' nest and never re-encounters its young. Okay, it nests, it lays its eggs in other species' nests, it doesn't see its young. It's mind-boggling to consider that once raised by a host species, by another species, the young cuckoo makes its way to ancestral wintering grounds in the tropics before returning single-handedly to find a mate of its kind. The obvious implication is that it inherits from its parent an inbuilt route map and direction finding capability, as well as mental image of what another cuckoo looks like. All right, it has so many things, which is mind-boggling. Yet nobody has the slightest idea as to how this is possible. All right, nobody has the slightest idea how that's possible, which I guess that the answer is for this one really clear. For this one, it's 10. This is mysterious because nobody has the slightest idea. Despite lack of teaching here, it says without parental guidance. Without parental guidance is synonym for despite lack of teaching. So the answer is going to be for this one, immediately 10. So the answer is going to be, right, 10. Do you guys agree? Do you guys agree? So I have cuckoos, so I need to look at 23. It's great mystery that young birds like cuckoos can find their wintering grounds without what? Without what? Okay, that's the word. I need you to find something. Okay. No. This word was missing. This word was missing. I put it now. What's the answer? Oh, it says more than one word, guys. More than one word. No more than one word. More than one word. So the answer is going to be without parental. Okay, it's not parental, it's parental. That's how you pronounce. Without parental support. All right, assistance is synonym for guidance. So the answer is going to be 23, parental. What about this one? Family groups, needing less water, sharper eyesight, none of these. So I can move on to the next one. Mounting evidence has confirmed, mounting evidence. What does mounting evidence means? Mounting means growing evidence, confirmed that birds use the positions of the sun and stars to do something. What do they do? Okay, to obtain compass directions. I had something about that. All right. They also seem to be able to detect the Earth's magnetic field, probably due to having minute. What does minute mean, guys? Minute. Adjective. Minute means very small. Small magnet in the region of their brains. There is small magnet crystals in their brain. However, accurate navigation also requires an awareness of position, time, and especially when lost. Evidence shows birds can tell directions like something. Experiments have shown that after, guys, this passage was in my exam. In my exam, the answer was lost. Right. But in this question, there is no such question about lost probably. Interesting. All right. Experiments have shown that after being taken thousands of miles over an unfamiliar landmass, birds are still capable to return to nesting sites. All right. Such phenomenal powers are the product of computing several sophisticated cues, including an inborn map of the night sky and pull of the how the birds use their instruments remains. But one thing is clear: they see the world with superior sensory perception to ours. Most small birds navigate at night. However, as well as seeing the sun goes, they also seem to the plane of bud, which calibrates the traveling the predators are avoided. Because there's nothing about like, you know. The evidence shows that birds can directions by like a something. What like a compass? Yes, yes, definitely. I was looking at that already. So mounting as evidence has confirmed that birds use positions of the dense stars to obtain compass directions. They seem to be able to detect the Earth's magnetic due to having crystal images. However, accurate requires evidence. And the only thing that fits here, they're able to obtain mass or compass directions. So the answer is going to be 24. How they do it? Because they have minute small crystals of magnitude, magnet, like a compass during the by observing. Also, one advantage for birds flying at night is that they can avoid. Okay, I got ahead of myself. Experiments have shown that after being taken thousands of miles over unfamiliar landmass, birds are still capable of returning rapidly to their. Even if they don't see it, they can come back. Such phenomenal powers are the product of computing several sophisticated cues, including inborn map of the night sky and pull of the earth. These two things. All right. How the birds use their instruments remains unknown, but one thing is clear. They see the world with superior sensory perception. Their sensory perception are much better. Most small birds migrate at night and take their direction from the position of the setting sun. However, as well as seeing the sun go down, they also seem to see the plane of polarized light caused by it, which calibrates their compass. Traveling at night provides other benefits. Daytime predators are avoided, and the danger of dehydration also gone. Two things. All right. You are avoiding predators. You are not getting dehydrated. You're also sunlit skies also reduce. There's less sun. All right, two things. So for question number 25 is going to the avoiding contacts with predators. Predators. So the answer is going to be predators. And then, okay, do we have anything about laboratories? Furthermore, at night, their air is less cool and less turbulent and conducive to sustain. Before we look at the list of headings, before we look at list of headings, let's look at birds traveling in family groups are safe. Anything about that? No. Birds flying at night need less water. I like that because here it says one of the benefits is that they are avoiding the danger of dehydration. So the answer is going to be C. All right, I can be confident. I can be confident this is the answer. Now I can move on. So I don't have anything, but I cannot move on. By the way, I need to choose the heading. The best moment to migrate. Is it the best moment to migrate? Was it about the best moment? The influence of weather on migration route. Was it about the influence of migration route? Weather. No, it wasn't mostly about weather. Next one, the best wintering grounds. Did they talk about the ideal locations? Was it about the ideal locations? No, it was not. Research findings on how birds migrate. Research findings on how birds migrate. Yes, I like this answer because here it says mounting evidence has confirmed. Then they are telling us how they do it. They're telling us the technical aspects of it. So the answer is going to be 7. Because they are telling us that's what experiments have shown, guys. Experiments have shown, that means they are telling us the findings. So let's continue. Nevertheless, all journeys involve considerable risk. It doesn't mean they do it easily. There is risk. Part of the skill in arriving safely is starting the journey at the right time, it turns out. This means accurate weather forecasting. You need to predict weather correctly. You need to utilize favorable winds, means use good weather. Birds are adapted both. They are adapted. Adapt means good at. They're good at weather forecasting and also using favorable winds. In laboratory tests, some have been shown to detect the minute difference in barometric pressure between the floor and the ceiling of a room. Often birds react to weather changes before there is any visible signs of them. They're able to see whether they're able to react to weather changes before there is any visible sign of them. What do you think the answer is for 26 people? For 26. All right, so the answer is going to be visible. Before any means, guys, before any means without, they're able to see with any visible sign. So these completion questions are easier because you need to remember collocation. It's also about collocation. All right. Avoid contact with predators. Does it make sense collocation wise? Yes. Do these words often come together? They do often come together. Visible sign, do they often come together? Yes, they do. All right, now I'm left with this. Lapwings, and which feed on grassland, flee west from Netherlands to the British Isles. When the ground surface freezes, the birds could starve, meaning could die from hunger. Yet they return to ahead of thaw, and their arrival linked to pressure change, presaging an improvement in the weather. Okay, mostly this paragraph was about how they need to set off at the right time. Because if they don't do that, they could die. They could die. What do you, because they could starve. So what's the answer for this one? No, people. Do we know migration routes? So those who are choosing 3 and those who are choosing 3, okay. The influence, are we sure about like how the weather is affecting? They were going this way, they're going this way. Okay, most of you guys are choosing 3, but this is not a correct answer. 3 is not a correct answer. All right, why 3 is not the correct answer? You are choosing the influence of weather on migration route. Migration route. Let's look at it. What weather is affected. So often birds react to weather changes before there's any visible. Lapwings, which feed on flee west from the British Isles. When the ground surface freezes, the birds could starve, yet they return to Holland. They're linked to pressure change, presaging an improvement in the weather. I guess presaging. Now, 6, the best wintering grounds. This is not an answer, definitely, because they're not talking about ideal places to spend winter. Which sentence are you getting this from? Now, 8, the successful migration despite the trouble of wind. Despite troubling of wind, successful migration? No. Did they talk about wind troubling them? No, this one. So with these questions, when you have options, it's a lot easier because you can remove the answers because there is always one answer that making it answer the. No, this guy, like, it's not 9, it's 1. All right, the answer is best moment. So it's important for them to set up at the right time. Set up means to migrate, start. Best moments means at the right time. So the answer is going to be 1. And finally, in one instance, a Welsh Manx shearwater carried, I guess it's the name of the it's the name of the bird, carried to America, released, was back in its burrow in coast one day before letter announcing its release. Conversely, each autumn, a small number of North American birds are blown across the Atlantic by fast-moving waterly tailwinds. Okay, what happened in one case? What happened? They took this bird to America and they released it. And it was back in its burrow in Stockholm Island. Stockholm is it's in Europe, right? They were released one day before the letter announcing its release. On the other hand, each autumn, a small number of North American birds blown across the Atlantic by fast-moving waterly tail. Not only do they arrive safely in Europe, but based on ringing evidence, some good evidence, some make it back to North America the following spring, after probably spending the winter with European migrants in sunny African climates. They're able to not only come to Europe safely, but they also make it back to North America safely. So the answer is going to be, for this one, successful migration despite the trouble of wind. Yes, the answer is going to be 8. It's going to be 8 because they are making it safely. That means successful migration. Despite the trouble of wind, it means fast-moving westerly tailwinds. That's synonym for that. So that's going to be 8. So I need to look at all of them. So do I have answers for all of them? I need to make sure. So every time I complete, you need to look at the relevant part and then put because you need to leave yourself time to review the questions. You definitely need to review the questions. It is must. So my goal in the exam, which is when I say I mean your goal. Your goal in the exam is to complete them in much, shorter span of time, in a much shorter time. So your goal is to finish both 3 passages in 45, 50 minutes, so that you especially deal with the difficult questions at the end. The questions you're not too sure about. There will be 1 or 2 questions you're not too sure about. So with these questions, what are you going to do? You're going to go back, you have the relevant part. There is no question that you are not going back to again. So with this one, I think we're done. So again, the next thing you do, you learn all the new words and you make a keyword table for these 2. All right? You make a keyword table for these 2. So, okay, let's go. Let us go. For 14, guys, 14 was, okay, somebody, it's not me. Please. All right, 14, 4, physical characteristics. Physical characteristics. Guys, physical characteristics, unique design features, right? They can talk about bones is characteristics, physical, then their heat design is characteristic. Respiratory system is characteristic. I mean, physical characteristic. Their, oh, come on. Are you doing it intentionally? All right, next one. Number 5. Number 5, people. The main reason. Fundamental reason, right? Fundamental reason. Next one. What else? I think that's it, right? Next one, 2. Unexplained rejection. Unexplained rejection for closer repeating ground. Unexplained, it says we don't fully understand. All right, unexplained means not fully understand. What about closer repeating ground? Oh, because they're not choosing particular places. So earlier they talked about how there are better locations. All right, the particular places. And then 10 is going to be mystery. Did I choose mysterious migration? Mystery, they use the mystery. Also, mind-boggling is a synonym. It's mind-boggling if something boggles your mind, right? And also, despite lack of teaching. Lack of teaching means without parental guidance. All right. So let's go. 7 for E. Research findings. What do I have? Experiments have shown. Experiments have shown. And finally, 1. Oh God, F, right? 1 is what? The best moment. The best moment is going to be right time. The right time is going to be best moment. Migrate is going to be set off. I guess set off and migrate. And then finally G, 8. What was G? G8. 8 is successful migration. Well, how do I know it was successful? They arrive safely. Successful migration. They arrive safely. That's successful. And then it says travel of wind. And then that's because fast moving westerly tailwinds. All right. And then continue. They fly further than they need to. There was a lion. What was the lion? All right, guys. They like journey much further than necessary. And then this one for C, there was a line. It said what? Birds fly less water. They need less water. Need less water. The synonym is danger of dehydration. Dehydration is avoided. Danger of dehydration is avoided. And finally, this one, without parental assistance is synonym for what? Assistance is synonym for guidance. I have like obtain compass. Again, if this is in your exam, remember the word. The answer is lost. All right. Predators, avoid contact with predators, so they can daytime avoid it. Avoid. They didn't use synonym. And finally, 26. Without means before there is any. Before there is any. All right. So once you do, you're gonna learn all the new words. It's all about vocabulary. So you're gonna learn all of these new words.